Once upon a time, in a land far away in the east, where the horizon blazed gold every morning and the winds carried the scent of jasmine and sandalwood, there lived an emperor whose name echoed across mountains and seas, a ruler known for his wealth, his magnificence, and his unshakable belief that his power was the center of the universe. The emperor of this vast kingdom dwelled in a palace of shimmering jade domes and marble floors so polished they reflected the sky, and he spent his days surrounded by attendants who folded at his feet like petals before a storm. He was grand, wealthy beyond measure, and undeniably arrogant, for he believed that all fortune flowed from him, and that those touched by his presence were lucky simply by existing in his shadow. One day, during a royal feast attended by his family, ministers, generals, and noble guests from distant regions, the emperor reclined upon a cushion of embroidered gold thread, savoring delicacies prepared by the finest chefs of the realm, and proclaimed to his 3 daughters, "Rejoice, my beloved children, and revel in life's splendor, for you are my daughters. Luck has favored you just by giving you the privilege of being born into my house, and fortune smiles upon you because you carry my blood." His eldest daughter bowed her head and replied dutifully, "Indeed, father, we are lucky only because we are yours." And the second daughter, seeking favor, echoed the sentiment. "Father, surely fortune is good to us because we are your daughters." But the youngest princess, named Nong, a girl with eyes like rivers after rain and a spirit as resolute as a mountain rooted deep in the earth, remained silent for a long moment. When her father asked why she had nothing to say, she lifted her gaze and spoke gently yet firmly. "Indeed, father, we are lucky and even blessed to be your daughters. But I believe each human is born with their own luck, and that true fortune depends on one's own efforts. Luck is lucky only when it is met with effort. So being your daughters does matter, but it is not the only thing that determines our fate." Her words, spoken with sincerity but heard by an emperor accustomed to obedience, struck him like an unexpected gust of wind that dares to scatter settled dust. His pride wounded, he slammed his goblet upon the table, the sound echoing through the hall like a crack of thunder, and declared, "Your luck depends on your efforts alone, you say? Very well, bring me my attendants. Find the poorest man, yes, the poorest as poor can be in my entire kingdom.
The scroll describes a man
Let this daughter
build,
of mine be married to him. Let us see what her precious effort will bring her then." The hall fell silent, and even the musicians paused mid-melody. The messengers obeyed immediately, scouring towns and villages, farmlands and riverbanks, markets and deserted clearings, until at last they found a timid, trembling man in a tattered garment, living in a small hut in the middle of a forest, surviving on little more than fallen branches, cold nights, and the grace of nature. When brought before the emperor, the poor man bowed so low he almost collapsed. The emperor questioned him, "In which city of my empire do you stay?" The poor man stuttered, I cannot afford to stay in any city, your majesty. I have a hut in the forest." "How many fields?" "None." "Horses?" "None." "Cattle?" "None." "Clothes other than what you wear?" "None." The emperor clapped his hands once. "Perfect. You are the poorest man that ever lived. You shall marry my daughter. Let us see now what kind of luck her effort will bring." And so, without complaint, without tears, without a flicker of fear, Princess Nong accepted her father's decree and married the poor man, who could hardly look her in the eye for he felt unworthy, though she reassured him with grace and warmth. "I had to obey the king's orders," he apologized as they reached his forest hut, which was barely large enough to shelter 2 people. "This is all I have, princess. I'm sorry." She touched his arm gently and said, "Call me Nong. We will make our effort, and I am sure luck will favor us." That night, he hurried into the forest to gather wood, for the cold would be merciless without a fire, and he confessed with shame that he had not been able to go to the market that day, so they had nothing to eat. But Nong, who had grown up exploring palace orchards and knew the forest's humors from her childhood lessons, smiled and said, "This is the forest. I shall surely find us some delicious wild fruits." And she returned with berries glowing like rubies and fruits dripping with nectar, which she cooked into a fragrant broth unlike anything the poor man had ever tasted. This fruit broth is delicious, princess," he said, awestruck. Call me Nong, she insisted again. Now tell me, how do you make a living? He explained that he survived by gathering wood from the forest and selling it in the marketplace, though it brought little money. Nong thought for a long moment and said, Today, when you went to gather wood, I smelled a fragrance in the air. There must be a valley filled with flowers nearby. The poor man nodded nervously. Up north. There's a valley of millions of flowers, but the mountain is dangerous. That is what my mother always said. Nong smiled with the determination of someone who had scaled cliffs in royal training halls. Then we shall climb it together. We will make perfume from those flowers, and if you do not know how, I will strike a deal with a perfume maker I know. Effort will bring us luck. The next morning, with the dawn painting the sky pink, they trekked up the treacherous mountain path. Rocks shifted beneath their feet, winds howled like wolves, and thorny bushes scratched their arms. But they pressed on until they reached the Valley of Flowers, an expanse so breathtaking that the air shimmered with color and fragrance. As Nong admired the sea of blossoms, her eye caught something gleaming beneath a boulder.
This one
She
captures
knelt,
the scent of
brushed
the
away the
whispering
dust,
falls.
and gasped.
Oh, it's truly
These are magic
divine,
stones my mother
like
once told me
captured
stories
moonlight.
about. But stories aside, these are rubies, the biggest and finest I have ever seen. The poor man nearly fainted. Princess Nong, we are going to be rich. But Nong shook her head. We will keep only a few rubies, enough to start our perfume business. The rest we shall send to my father. Riches must be shared with integrity. And so they did. With the help of a skilled perfumer and the flowers of the valley, they created scents so divine that nobles from distant lands paid fortunes for them. Soon, Nong and her husband became among the richest people in the kingdom. When news reached the emperor, he roared with outrage. I asked you to bring me the poorest man, and you bring me one who is now wealthy beyond imagination. How did this happen? His messengers trembled. He was poor, your majesty, until the princes married him. Meanwhile, Nong grew sad, for her father refused to see her or acknowledge her success. I miss him, she confessed to her husband one night. I wish you were not so angry. Do not worry, he told her. Luck will favor us soon. And indeed it did, though in a strange and dangerous way. One day, a cruel spirit named HBI took the form of a deer and destroyed the emperor's favorite garden. Angered beyond measure, the emperor declared a kingdom-wide hunt and ordered every able man to join him. Nong saw this as her chance. Perhaps this hunt will be the opportunity to win his heart. Luck is lucky only when met with effort. I shall go disguised as a man and ride with you. The army of 1,000 hunters divided into 4 groups. Nong and her husband remained with the emperor. No one else could match their speed of riding, so they were left far behind. The Hypia deer, cunning and mischievous, stayed just ahead of the emperor, letting him almost catch up, then vanishing again, teasing him endlessly until, exhausted, the emperor collapsed beneath a great banyan tree, the home of the HPIA spirits. He must not sleep here, Nong whispered urgently. The ruling HPI will harm him at dawn. Let us pretend to sleep and listen, for HPI spirits speak to themselves at night. And so they waited silently. In the darkest hour, they heard a voice hiss from the branches, "Sleeping under my tree, is he? In the morning, when the sun rises, I shall break the topmost branch upon him. If he survives that, I shall break the bridge his horse must cross. If that fails, I shall make the arch of his palace fall. If even that does not work, I shall poison his water. And if all else fails, I shall enter his chamber and steal his spirit." The spirit did not know that Nong and her husband understood. At dawn, they woke the emperor gently. "Your Majesty, your horse needs water. Allow me to take him." The moment the emperor stepped aside, Nong leapt onto his horse and the Hypia dropped the massive branch, but Nong turned swiftly, and the branch crashed harmlessly behind her. They fled. The HPI, furious, shouted, "You won't escape!" It rushed to the bridge and snapped its ropes, believing the emperor would be crossing. But Nong and her husband used a narrow river crossing instead. Then the Hypia raced to the palace arch, ready to collapse it, but they galloped through so fast that the spirit misjudged its timing. "I shall poison his water!" It screeched next, but Nong had already prepared. When the emperor begged for water, she gave him fresh water she had carried herself and poured the tainted water onto the ground. Then I shall steal his spirit tonight, the HBIA vowed. But when the spirit entered the emperor's chamber that night, Nong and her husband threw a black cloth over it, knowing HBI's spirits could not see in darkness, and trapped it. They imprisoned it forever, saving the emperor's life 5 times. In a single day, when the emperor awoke to see the 2 figures kneeling before him, he asked, "Who are you? You have cared for me, protected me, risked everything for me." Nong removed her disguise. "Father, it is us, your daughter and her husband. We longed only for your affection." The emperor broke into tears, embracing them both. "My daughter," he wept, "you were right. Indeed, luck is lucky only when met with effort. Forgive me. And you, my son, who proved bravery beyond kings, after I am gone, you too shall rule the kingdom together." And from that day on, people across the land would bless one another by saying, "May your luck be like Nong's, because luck is lucky only when it is met with effort."